sensations on your skin. You get really itchy. It's totally like a bad science fiction story. It's like pure evil, I swear. I have Morgellons disease. It's not a recognized disease. The medical society has shunned us. I saw a doctor who told me I was delusional. I feel like if people can't see it, they don't believe it. I'm sad all the time. I'm depressed all the time.
Another exciting edition of Out There TV, definitely not your evening news.
Hello, everybody, and thanks for joining us tonight. An incredible show coming up. First-time guest is Dr. Hildegard Staninger. Is that correct?
Yes, and she's talking about Morgellons. She's one of the foremost researchers on the syndrome. Dr. Hildegard Staninger is a doctor of integrative medicine and one of the leading international scientists in the field of industrial toxicology.
Wow, Dr. Staninger is also one of the few scientists actively investigating what's become known as Morgellons syndrome, and joins us tonight with some incredible findings.
Welcome, Dr. Staninger.
Thank you very much for having me on the show.
Thanks for joining us. Wow, what research you've done. Now, this is a first time for most of our viewers, so tell us, what exactly is this Morgellons problem?
The Morgellons problem is a syndrome, a disease that has specific things in common with all parties that are developing these symptoms. They have fibers that grow out of their body, and these fibers burn at 1,400 degrees or more, and they also have where it's either black, blue, or red, or even white fibers. They experience hair loss that is replaced by pseudo hair. They have fatigue and a number of what they call lesions, which has like a crust over it, or a pseudo skin, or some people call it a callus, where these fibers and other materials accumulate under the skin.
Doctor, we're just showing some photographs as you're speaking, and this thing is hideous. It looks really alien on the human body.
Well, it is a true foreign invader, meaning a foreign invader is something that comes into the body and is not recognized by the body and attacks the body's defense mechanism. And in this case, the materials which were identified at the end of the study, which was under Project FM, we found that it was made of a polyester, two-part polyester compound with other organic compounds, and it basically was like two plastic straws within itself.
Wow.
With a silicone head.
Okay, you had something on the website that was a golden head. What is that in relation to?
Now the golden head, which was identified in the very beginning, we went in stages. Let me just explain what the stages were. The first set of tests that were done, which were using toxicological pathology methods, which were done by a colleague of mine, Dr. Rahim Karju, and myself, and identified what was the physical nature of prepared slides that were sent to us by a person that was diagnosed with Morgellons, and also was sent to us by the hospital in New Hampshire. And that showed silicone present and also silica, crystals, okay? Mm-hmm. That was in phase 1. Phase 2 showed high-density polyethylene fiber and other compounds being present. And then phase 3, which was the combination of approximately 24 samples that were sent from around the world, and also the comparison to a chemtrail sample that was sent to us from Texas.
Wow.
And two of my patients and Dr. Spencer's patients that had Morgellons, and that showed that it matched to the chemtrail sample that was in Texas versus these other two people. One lived in Signal Hill and the other one lived in Long Beach.
So we're showing something that we learned from the website. These are fibers that came from a chemtrail sample. Now, how did that come to you? What did it look like when you saw it just with the naked eye?
Well, what it looked like was just like cotton candy, mm-hmm. like just white cotton candy in a bag, and then also a twig was attached. Because the person who took the sample saw it falling from the sky and was able to gather it and date it when they gathered it and put it into a proper Ziploc bag. Take a hair, which we thought was real hair versus pseudo hair, where it doesn't have a core in it, because human hair has a core in it. They can put their finger next to it without even touching it, just like, say, maybe 2 or 3 millimeters away from the hair, and the hair will start spinning, meaning there's some kind of charge within their own body.
Okay.
Doctor, this may be a ridiculous question, but the chemical analysis of these fibers, is it earthly or is it extraterrestrial?
No. What I found was earthly, meaning when these nanoparticles come into the body, and they could become as smart dust or straight particles, what happens is it has some kind of nanoparticle which is called a nano assembler, meaning it uses body materials to make its network of fibers.
المزارع في بدا فارس، يعني ما بيني وبينها إلا 5 أمتار. الحين ترد على السيارة. هذه قدر إلهية سبحان الله نزلت الأرض الحين فأنا مستعجب صراحة. زود هذا زود ايوه ايوه
American government, the U.S. government, supports all kinds of eugenics type activities, and it's really sickening that our own government would be supporting programs and activities.
Are you talking about population control?
Yes, I am. Talking about death and illness.
So these are death dumps that they're dropping on us. Chemtrails, when I say that,
yes,
with aluminum oxide, strontium, barium,
yes.
sulfur hexafluorides, etc.
I've seen quite a bit of evidence that clearly there are programs to dump all these chemicals on us. Not quite sure what the purpose is yet.
The purpose is to kill us. In Nazi Germany they did this, and there was a Nuremberg trial. Should we not have another Nuremberg trial?
Oh, that'd be a good idea if we could find somebody to actually prosecute these people. We need to have more Americans that understand what's going on so that there can be enough of an uprising to actually do that. Certainly they're doing it, and they are actually, killing people and making them sick.
Well, it is genocide, isn't it?
Sure, absolutely.
Él vio al principio una especie de estelas en el cielo y de repente empezaron a caer, ahí lo tenemos.
Sí, pero hay un montón de hebras, ¿eh?
Como si fueran hilos. Él nos decía que era como pegajoso, gelatinoso incluso, que se podían estirar, alargar, mira, ahí vemos cómo cae, que se alargaban de hasta 15 o 20 metros, tú fíjate.
Como gigantescas
ahí las tenemos.
Telarañas, como ha ocurrido en alguna ocasión.
Y en principio pensaron que podía ser una tela de araña y cogieron una muestra. Fíjate que nuestros espectadores se convierten ya en auténticos investigadores.
Totalmente, pero fíjate lo que estamos viendo.
Mira, además nos decía que es que caían por todo, por tejados, por los semáforos, por las ventanas. Ahí está, en los propios semáforos vemos cómo caen las hebras. Bueno, pues la llevan a la universidad y en la universidad la analizan al microscopio. Y esas imágenes, incluso de los análisis microscópicos, nos las envían.
Bueno, vaya trabajo que han hecho.
Porque esto, aunque parezcan telas de araña gigantescas, que se estiran muchísimo, 15-20 metros, nos decía, pues no lo son.
Fíjate.
Los análisis decían que no era nada de eso. Y por el momento no sabemos qué pueden ser.
Hay alguna imagen incluso del espectrograma. Ha ocurrido en muchas ocasiones, estas lluvias de cabellos de ángel, y de todo eso vamos a hablar. Bueno, esto me parece tan interesante, tan raro, tan físico, que hay que ponerse en contacto con este investigador y desde luego saber algo más. Hay que saber algo más, sobre todo si se conservan todavía las muestras, que puede ser muy interesante conocer el estado actual.
Que pedían, mira, ahí están recogiendo las muestras, los hilos. Pedían nuestra ayuda porque, claro, dice que ellos ya no tienen más medios, ni físicos ni económicos, para que alguien les pueda dar una solución. Y nosotros, que tenemos contacto con muchos laboratorios, pues tal vez si siguen conservando alguna muestra la podamos analizar.
¿Qué les parece a ustedes? El aspecto, desde luego, de tipo tela de araña, ¿no? Pero muy largas y muy elásticas. No podemos poner ni quitar nada. Nosotros no sabemos nada. Hemos recibido el material. Vamos a investigar. Y esto, desde luego, viene que ni al pelo. Fíjate, es que algunos parecen casi entidades vivas, ¿no? Una gran lombriz o algo así. En fin, una especie de rocío condensado. ¿Qué demonios es esto?
Savez-vous que dans la région Midi-Pyrénées, précisément à Gratin-Tours, en pleine campagne, ces fibres sont tombées. Ils tombent du ciel comme par magie. Et n'aimons pas rester ignorants, parce que les recherches sur Internet, ou quand on va demander à des laboratoires, etc., ça nous n'apporte aucune réponse. Soit on se fait jeter, soit on nous dit gentiment que ils ne savent pas, que c'est pas grave et qu'ils ne savent pas. Donc on se trouve face à quelque chose qui a l'air vivant.
Plus je fais des observations, plus elles sont en corrélation
avec celles faites par cet institut. Je rappelle que la maladie de Morgellons, ce sont ces mêmes fils qui poussent sous la peau et qui créent des liaisons, donc cette maladie est toujours plus ou moins reconnue.
Spraying that chemtrail?
Yep. You think we're above it?
I know.
Oh, we'd be dead right now.
I'm gonna put this on YouTube.
The death dumps, otherwise known as chemical trails, are being dropped and sprayed throughout the United States, in England, Scotland, Ireland, Northern Europe, and I have personally seen them not only in the United States but in Mexico and Canada. Birds are dying around the world. Fish are dying by the hundreds of thousands around the world. This is genocide. This is poison. This is murder by the United Nations. This element within our society that's doing this must be stopped. I happen to know of 2 of the locations where the airplanes are that dump this crap on us. 4 of the planes are out of the Air National Guard, Lincoln, Nebraska, and the other planes are out of Fort Still, Oklahoma. I personally have observed the planes that were standing still in Nebraska, Lincoln, Nebraska, at the Air National Guard. They have no markings on them. They're huge, bomber-like airplanes with no markings. This is a crime. Crime against humanity, crime against America, crime against the citizens of this great country. They must be stopped. What is wrong with Congress? This has an effect on their population and their people and their friends and their relatives and themselves. What's wrong with them? What's wrong with the pilots who are flying these airplanes? They're dumping this crap, this poison, on their own families. Somebody has to do something about it. Somebody in Congress has to step forward and stop it now. And thank you. I'm Ted Gunderson.
Si c'est assez exceptionnel, ce sont en fait des nuages. On les voit très bien, toute cette ligne. Alors, ce sont les navires, figurez-vous, avec la condensation. C'est un petit peu ce qui se passe fréquemment par les avions.
Et vous voyez, les chemtrails couvrent 50%, voire 75% du ciel. Pas besoin d'être un expert pour comprendre, quand on voit ça sur l'image satellite, qu'il y a forcément un effet sur la température de surface.
A bit of an unusual situation. Now, this first portion of the radar cycle fairly bland and typical, but then you see these bands of very distinct cloud cover moving into the region. That is not rain, that is not snow, believe it or not. Military aircraft flying through the region dropping chaff. Small bits of aluminum, sometimes it's made of plastic, or even metallicized paper products.
Contrail controversy. As far as I'm concerned, it's an open and shut case. I have been watching the development of jet travel from its very beginning. I used to live near the Los Angeles airport. Remember when the first jets came in and landed? Man, they made a big noise. We never heard a noise like that before. And we used to go down and sit at the end of the runway and watch these jets come in and take off because it was a novel experience. I've been watching jets all my life, and I know about jet contrails. I've watched them. They're vaporized moisture, ice crystals, and they get out there in the atmosphere, and then they effervesce and evaporate and then disappear, and you can see them. The plane moves along, and the little white trail follows right behind it, and usually about 10 or 20 lengths of the plane or thereabouts, and then it's gone. And you can still see them that way, by the way, once in a while. So there goes a contrail. These other things we're talking about are not at all the same phenomena at all. These planes go by, and they billow out this white smoke, and it covers the sky from horizon to horizon. It doesn't dissipate at all. And they crisscross each other. And you see this thing cover the sky and turn it milky, and then people start having trouble breathing, and then you hear stories about the aluminum and barium deposits that they're picking up and the residue. And you put it all together, and I don't see how anybody who's got their eyes open and their mind open can come to any other conclusion but that somebody is spending a lot of money and effort to spray the planet. The question is, why?
Voici une série de photos consacrées aux traînées d'avions dans le ciel qui deviennent des cirrus. Très jolie traînée également, on voit que les avions à réaction circulent dans des directions différentes, ce qui nous donne cet effet quadrillé.
Le voile nuageux va se confirmer dans l'ouest, alors sans grandes conséquences, pas de précipitations, bonne luminosité, mais c'est vrai, le ciel ne sera plus tout bleu.
Selon certains experts, le meilleur moyen de contre-attaquer aujourd'hui consiste à refroidir artificiellement notre planète. Cela s'appelle le geoengineering. Le projet le plus prometteur cherche à assombrir l'atmosphère avec du soufre, un gaz qui bloque les rayons du soleil.
We could theoretically block out a small proportion of incoming sunlight.
Adding aerosols to the upper atmosphere is considered relatively cheap and easy to deploy if the technology proves effective and safe.
Envoyer des particules de soufre dans la haute atmosphère, disons au-dessus de 10 km, semble être la meilleure idée pour refroidir la planète.
The idea is if you took some missiles or whatever and spread sulfate aerosol, it's the same kind of thing that comes out of a smokestack in an uncontrolled power plant that we call pollution. See, we put this into the stratosphere, and it reflects away the sun's radiation, and it counters the effects of carbon dioxide in the lower atmosphere causing global warming. So you counter the global warming.
It didn't take long for the world to agree. A technology existed that could stop the ice sheets from melting. It should be used. Hundreds of jets from all around the world were spraying a mist of sulfur dioxide into the atmosphere. The gas would form particles which would shade the Earth and temporarily cool it.
People say the government is up there in airplanes spraying all kinds of chemicals to change or manipulate the weather, leaving what you see there, and they call that a chemtrail.
So what I look up there and I think are contrails, you're telling me are chemtrails?
Yes, that a contrail would be dissipated by now.
And it's interesting, Dale and Christina, this is of interest not just in this country, but European countries and frankly all over the world. A lot of folks interested in it.
Well, Dave, you mentioned that climatologists and others who study the atmosphere believe that they'd be able to surely spot any kind of signs of an ominous plot.
Our journey started in San Diego, California, where thousands of scientists, engineers, policymakers, and journalists gathered for the American Association for the Advancement of Science Conference. One of the topics was the artificial manipulation of the Earth's climate, also called geoengineering. During the meeting, scientists spoke about the plausibility of implementing geoengineering campaigns throughout the world under the guise of preventing global warming. One widely accepted theory was to block the sun by spraying something into the atmosphere. When they were asked about existing aerosol programs, they stated clearly that no such programs have ever been implemented. But strangely, these proposals sounded exactly like what people around the world are claiming is already happening.
As you know, I have a background in the energy fields. I worked in the first solar plants in the continental U.S. in the early 80s. My home was on the cover of the world's largest renewable energy magazine, so this is my background. My goal has been to alert the public there is a mountain of toxic material falling on us, period. Before about 5 years ago, our skies were typically blue, and now you see it's covered with lines and haze, and virtually nothing you see on the horizon, nothing you see in the sky above us is a natural cloud. I mean, it is virtually all the remnants of these aircraft lines that you see. Certain days you can see these trails actually dropping vertically like a veil. We assume the particulates are descending, and we have the tests to prove that we are being inundated with levels of aluminum and particulates that are literally tens of thousands of times what would already be considered high. So we're not talking about exposure to a slight percentage higher of these toxic materials. We're talking about quantities, for example, off the side of Mount Shasta. If you can pan back, that's a landmark in Northern California, considered to be a pristine water source. Aluminum or snow sample off the side of Mount Shasta tested 61,000 parts per billion.
Government action is required at 1,000. This is 61 times over the government limit, and our hikers are drinking this poisonous water on Mount Shasta Mountain itself. Barium, 83. Strontium, 383.
So this summer, the people climbing are drinking poison.
Basically. I certainly wouldn't want to drink 61,000 micrograms per liter of aluminum.
And again, we've already seen in 5 years soil pHs in this area that have escalated 10 to 12 times. And we can prove that conclusively. Well, this is not speculation. We can prove conclusively that these metals have been in the rain. We have duplicate samples.
Bachelor of Science in Forestry, International School of Forestry at Missoula. Master's in Zoology, specialized in aquatics. 35 years with the U.S. Forest Service as a wildlife biologist, and before that, several years with the USDA Soil Conservation Service as a soil conservationist. Also have run the botany programs, range and grazing programs, and I continue that today. Right now I do a lot of master gardener consultation work.
When I started this garden back in about 2005 or so, pH here was 5.5, 5.6.
This is the old soil survey of the county. You can look at the page right here. This is my soil right here. It's a Dietz 125, 126 here at my house. And here, the soil reaction pH should be between 4.5 and 6.0. And over there in the pure mud, it's even a little darker. It's 6.8 right there.
And what can this do to plant life and ecosystems?
Well, you haul one of these things out and you start looking at the little things that are crawling around the soil. A lot of times they aren't there anymore. The little soil arthropods that you can barely see on a microscope, you can actually see movement with this. Little tiny macroscopic, look like little moving pieces of dust. Those start to go away. They're not gone entirely, but they start to go away.
This is black oak acorns. You know, this is pieces of cedar wood. You know, come on, folks. This should be very acid, and I'm getting 10 times higher than expected. There's something really wrong.
Methods might have some effect on the monsoons,
which could lead to dramatic changes in precipitation patterns, drought, crop failures, and potentially conflict.
En Chine, le nord et le centre du pays manquent également cruellement d'eau, du jamais vu depuis 60 ans.
L'Australie n'avait jamais connu ça, un État entier sous les eaux, grand comme la France et l'Allemagne réunies. Des inondations qui prennent de plus en plus d'ampleur. Habitations, infrastructures, presque tout a été détruit.
Éloigne cette tornade de nos maisons. Une Américaine du Kentucky implore Dieu alors que ce monstre de vent ne va pas tarder à toucher terre. Et voilà le résultat. Des scènes de dévastation sur 8 États différents après le passage de 80 tornades.
Voilà.
As I feel all other issues are secondary, what could be a greater priority than not being able to walk out your door and take in a breath of air without sucking up heavy metals? If our land base is being poisoned, if our waters are being toxified, what will we have left to work with? Whatever we choose to focus our time and energy on, whatever our political beliefs, that this is a common ground for all of us. We must have air that we can breathe that's not full of toxic chemicals and metals. We must have water that's not completely laden with whatever is being emitted from these aircraft. And if people stopped to consider that the atmosphere is as thin as a layer of paint on a basketball, it is an extremely thin layer that allows life to exist on this planet. To simply treat it as a physics lab and experiment with it until it is broken beyond repair is folly of unbelievable proportion. And if people understood that this sort of experimentation not only is going on, but has been going on for a very, very long time. Going back 50 years, there's been countless climate manipulation, weather modification programs that the vast majority of the public is completely unaware of. And if they think that this is not true, that certainly that somehow they would have known if it was occurring, I would ask them to look at things like Agent Orange and the things that governments do because they can, because there's no one to stop them, because they have these huge military machines that want to control everything.
The concern is off the charts about why is this happening? Why is this being allowed to be sprayed continually all over the United States, all over the world? Who is paying for this? I mean, the incidence of Alzheimer's has just skyrocketed, which evidently has to do with an accumulation of aluminum in the brain cells. I mean, I think almost every family has been touched by a member as they get older having Alzheimer's. And it's a horrible disease. And to say that, well, this just came because people drank soda pop out of aluminum cans, you know, when my father passed away with Alzheimer's and he didn't ever drink soda pop.
Il ne peut y avoir d'agriculture pérenne que si on est sur des sols vivants. Le sol abrite 80% de la biomasse vivante. Donc si vous tuez, on en a tué 90%, c'est qu'on est en train de tuer tout ce qui est à la source de la vie. C'est quand même les microbes qui nourrissent nos plantes, qui font que nos plantes sont saines, sont nutritifs pour nous. Alors que maintenant, les gens, enfin, nous sommes quand même dans la société la plus confortable de l'histoire de l'humanité et nos dépenses de sécurité sociale augmentent de 6% par an. Il y a quand même des questions à se poser, quoi. Nous avons en ce moment, depuis 20 ans, nous traversons les années les plus sèches depuis 3000 ans dans l'histoire de l'Europe. Et les écologistes, à l'heure actuelle, se posent la question de savoir à quel moment c'est l'humanité qui commencera à s'écrouler. C'est-à-dire, pour le moment, on a détruit 90% de notre biodiversité. En Europe, ça va encore pour nous. Donc les écologistes disent, est-ce que c'est à 95% que le système va lâcher? Est-ce que c'est... On ne sait pas. La catastrophe du Crétacé est ridicule en comparaison de ce qui se passe en ce moment. Mais ça meurt. Puis les gens attendent, disent, peut-être qu'un jour on va voir quand ça va péter, quoi.
And all of us have a duty to stand up and speak out about it. Why is the water being contaminated? Why is the soil being contaminated? Why are aluminum-related diseases going up? And it's affecting all of us, and thus we all have the duty to stand up and speak out and get educated and stop this. For our own sake, for our children's sake, it is a crucial moment in history right now. As human beings, we need to decide whether to live on our knees while being sprayed and poisoned every day, while being under a continual threat, or whether we are going to stand up and live as free human beings and seek truth, justice, peace, and freedom for all of God's children.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Don't believe everything you hear. Don't believe everything you read. And only believe half of what you see. God bless you.